So I want to speak on something that I was just speaking on in too many videos I put up on Instagram, and one that sounded super nice to me. I think, or the example that I put on was, I was talking about our lungs. Hey, how are you? I think the example that I put on was involving love, and how it's more of like this unconditional thing that it just radiates from you when you're most inside of your internal space. And I'm wearing my quartz to sort of theme that. When we're most involved into our internal space, when we're in our most natural state of homeostasis, I think we radiate that which we are. And that which we are has been called a few different things, and one of those things that has been called is love. It's a quality of person. It's a quality of person. It's a sweetness of character. And it does not get rid of pimples. That's why I have this bugger right here. I want to express that your lungs and your body work very similar that way. As far as there's direct ways and indirect ways to throw something off its function. In the same way, us, like as larger beings, we can be thrown off our game, and then we can hurt people around us, because we can hurt people around us because we're not inside of our internal space. We're not living in our hearts. We're not expressing ourselves from that place. And let me apply this to the lungs. So maybe indirectly, your lungs have become ill. They've become sick. They're not doing their natural mechanisms. Now your lungs don't have some contrived intention to keep you alive. They just do this. They do this by their natural state of that which they are. But whether it's indirectly, like I said, whether it's directly or indirectly, your lungs can be put in a place, can be put in a position, whether through maybe you're smoking too many cigarettes, or maybe you have cancer, lung cancer. But in one way or another, they can be put in a position to start to restrict your airways, to start to limit you as what you can be as a human being, to not allow you the sufficient oxygen that the rest of your body needs. And it causes some domino effect around you as a person, and all of a sudden the lungs become a generator of unuseful things. And I think in the same way, us as people, emotionally and collectively, we work this way. We come into our lives, and with the people we meet and we introduce ourselves to, we express something. And maybe we work maybe through indirect means or direct means. Maybe we were hurt, emotionally scarred as children. Maybe we grew up inside of really weird and negatively emotional environments. I don't fucking know. I don't know your story. Throughout time, I can express to you mine, and maybe that'll give you some sort of hindsight into how to mend over your scars, how to get over that shit, because it's real for you. And not only is it real for you, but it's real for the people that you claim to care for. Now, your lungs don't claim to care for you, but nonetheless, their actions speak much louder than their words. Right now, I as a human being have a remarkable ability to communicate. So here I am, expressing love, expressing my natural state of homeostasis, and those around me, those who get in contact with that, in the same way your lungs get in contact with the rest of your organs, and it causes a chain reaction. Those who get in contact with that, and they sense that feeling, they sense that balance, they sense something, there's something happening between the exchange of people. They sense that is felt. And all of a sudden, they feel themselves working better. As if we are all connected. If that's not proof in of itself, how somehow something that you as an individual island of a human being can connect to another island. I've given this example to a few close friends of mine. Although we work very much like islands across vast oceans, under the ocean we're all connected. And that's me trying my best not to take it to the woo-woo place, but to try to be as personal as I can on that. Now, the reason why I say this, and I'm gonna get a little vulnerable here, and I feel like this video is gonna end soon, is because I've noticed that in myself, I've followed with my intellect. I've followed with my brain, thinking that that was the smartest way to be, because that's the way that my culture infused in me, indirectly, unintentionally, a string of bad habits. And so the difference between the heart and the mind starts to come into play in my life here, because the mind, the brain, the intellect in particular, wants to derive its answers from conclusions. It wants one single thing at a time. It needs to be either yes or no. It doesn't exist in contradiction. That's where the heart exists. This is where the intellect, where the intelligence of something deeper comes into play. I'm super reluctant to use the word love, to use the word heart, and all these woo-woo terms, because they have a cultural baggage to them that I don't want to bring into this conversation. But I want you to try to see past those words and try to understand what I'm trying to get across to you anyways, that I'm trying to flow with. Okay? The heart exists within, between the yes and the no. I was writing a little something earlier speaking on how the heart is more like a battery. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, just for the sake of communication. I don't know this for sure, but for the sake of communication, there's an idea that I want to get across, which is the heart functions so much like a battery. Love is the collection of you. Something that is generated, exposed, radiated. I would say that definition comes so much closer to what we've branded over all this time and confused for something that we offer people, rather than something that we use to connect to others. It's the bridge work. And it's also the bridge itself. Kinda like, and I'm gonna get woo-woo for like 2 seconds. Like, excuse my woo-woo. Kinda like water, ice, and hydrogen are essentially the same thing. They're just different states of the same thing. And they're taken in different pills. They're absorbed by different means. I've led with my brain because I thought that was the smart way to do it. I'm finding that there's some sort of interconnected relationship that it just makes things easier. There's a better way to live your life than trying to solve problems. There are no answers to your questions. As many questions as you have, you can't contrive the answer. You can come to conclusions, you can spurt new ideas, but there is no end game. I was speaking on something to myself earlier of how questions come from somewhere else. There is something in me that wants to survive, and my thoughts reflect that wanting. They reflect that search for information to find that survival. There are 6 other levels that we can talk about involving this, but just on the fundamental level of survival, there is something in me that strives for information involving survival. It's something in me that looks around, looks at the people around me, looks at my surroundings, looks at the social dynamics, and it wants to understand it for a better reason. It wants to understand it because there's something, it's just there. I can't give you a why. There's something in there that is always searching for that information. And if it's searching for the information, as long as I don't get in my own damn way, it's gonna find that information. Because there's something else that's there, which is awareness. You have the answers that you're asking. If not, you can't ask the question, because it's strange. I know it sounds super weird to say this. It's heavily, monstrously, overwhelmingly paradoxical to say these next words. The questions come from your answers. But since you want conclusions, you split the answer in pieces and you try to solve it. You think it's some sort of puzzle. I agree. Own it. Own that shit. And I think I'm super glad I said this. As zen and over monastery as so much of this may have come off, it feels right. Have a great day.